time to work on this thing last night, but by the time it cooled off, it was pretty much getting dark, and by the time I actually got time to do it, because I was trying to get that video up for you, keep on our daily uploads, and I'll tell you what guys, that is hard work, but we did keep up on schedule. We got our daily upload for you guys. I did make some progress on this, thanks to the wife for helping edit the video for you guys. But taking a look at this, and this is going to be, you know, the how to install your ETS Rotated Kit. I think that'll help a lot of you on your guys' cars, especially those of you that are stock location and going to rotated for the first time and not having the real knowledge of what goes where or how things go places they should, things like that. I understand that not all of you guys have done this multiple times like I have, so I'm going to be explaining this kind of dumbed down today, so that way everyone can get it. And let's take a look. So last night I was able to go ahead, get the up pipe on the car, and as you can see here, they have a supplied bracket tree that connects to your transmission right on this passenger side, 2 bolts there. Now when you're putting this up pipe in, I like to put the bolts down low, loose, and that way you can get some wiggle room here. Same deal of this on this bracket, leave these bolts loose, and then you can go ahead and put these bolts in and tighten everything up here, and then tighten it down on the header. So that's the way to do that. That's what I found has worked very easy. Again, with the wastegate, I did get the springs already assembled in this. If you are assembling your wastegate for the very first time, go ahead, reach out to your tuner and see what he's going to want for a spring pressure. Some people are different. Usually 14.5 pounds is a pretty good place to start, and most tuners will be happy of that. So if you really don't have a choice of a tuner yet, or you're trying to figure it out, a 14.5 pound spring in that will be fine. Especially like on this car, I run 4 ports, as most of you know, so we can control, you know, bottom and the top of the gate. Hyperblue does have a Grimspeed 3-port on it, running the top and bottom of the gate, and again, that's tuned by someone else. So that's tuned by JR, and then we have, like, say, Gray Car is tuned by Steve, and Steve likes 4 ports, JR likes Grimspeed 3 ports. So that tells you guys, just check with the tuner and accommodate to what they want, and it'll make your life a lot easier, and I believe you'll get better results. So I did get the springs into the wastegate. I like sitting them here. You can see there's no bolt in this clamp. Same in that one, just so I can get everything lined up, so that way you're not hitting the transmission down there, and this one is. So I still have to move that pipe over a little bit. It does have an angle on it, so that way we'll be able to do that. Now, stepping into the side over here, I like to tie this harness down to these brake lines right there, like so. And then same with these, the power steering lines. I like to tuck them over as far as you can, just to get them away from the heat here of the turbo. You can tell I do have the AOS out of the way that we had probably in our previous video. I'm probably going to cut this up into 2 videos for you guys. But we got the AOS out of the way. We're going to move it over into the center. We do have to build a custom bracket for that. Today, the plan is to hopefully get this thing all the way together. So starting pretty early. Thankfully it's cool out. But we're gonna, next step, get the turbo on the car and get these lines obviously tucked over first, then get the turbo on, get the downpipe, mid pipe on. Then we have our turbo kit on over on this side of the engine. And from there, it's just gonna be, we gotta get the bumper off the front of the car so we can get the intercooler changed out, and then we got to start tackling that intake manifold, because we're putting the stock one, like I told you guys, back on this car, and that'll be relatable to a lot of you. The main reason why he wanted to do that is just because he didn't want to have to spend the time to modify the pipe again, which I get it, and we've been making some good results with the stock intake manifold anyways, and for his power goals, he'll be more than fine. So, gonna get started on this thing today. I'm gonna start getting the turbo together. I gotta put the oil return on it, obviously get your oil feed fitting into it, then from there, I'll walk you guys through some of the steps you're going to need to do, especially if you're doing a precision turbo that doesn't have coolant going through it. So we will need to talk about that. But I'm going to get this harness tucked up, get the turbo on, and then we'll catch up, guys.
Stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. never stop dreaming.
Now you guys might have noticed there that I did leave this back section loose, so you need to loosen all the bolts on this hot side here, and we're gonna have to do that anyways to clock our oil feed and our cold side. I like to leave the back loose so that way, you know, the front side can turn, it can get the oil feed going down into the return line right here, and this is how it's supposed to look, guys. It goes down in, supplied hose, supplied clamps, that's good to go. We did get this pretty much lined up. Now again, I've done many of these, so I know kind of where it needs to go, but just go ahead, leave it to where you can move the turbo a little bit, because we're going to have to anyways when we're putting the downpipe on. I like to leave them all loose, so that way we can get the up pipe on to the turbo, then get your downpipe section on, and then the mid pipe section, and then tighten them all down, because you'll have a lot better time doing that than if you were just to tighten them right away. So make sure to do that. This clamp is a little bit hard to do if you're by yourself. Done plenty of them. You just got to take your time. Make sure the turbo's sitting right where it's supposed to. It has a groove that it needs to sit into, so just make sure that it's in that. But now we can start getting our downpipe on here, and once we get the downpipe on, we can get this all tightened up.
From the past try to do me in, and I can't hesitate on the gas, and I'm here to win. Hold this pen, staring out the endo, know the end is near. Coming into focus, there's a chorus, feel it in the air. I can understand how a lot of rappers disappear. I can't understand how a man lives his life in fear. I got goals, matter of fact I got more. I got dreams in the lyrics, can you hear them? Can't fall. So it's non-stop, I won't fold, I won't drop until we on top. Only going non-stop, non-stop. I won't fold, I won't drop until we on top. Only going non-stop. There's no plan B with me. Do you believe in me? There's no plan B with me. Do you believe in me? It's non-stop. I won't fold, I won't drop until we.
Now we got our full exhaust on this thing. We got it all tightened up underneath the car. You can see here, this is what the downpipe obviously is supposed to look like and the way it's supposed to go. I just need to finish up by tightening this clamp right here, and we're all set. Then I can tighten the last V-band on there, and we can move on to the next step. Next step being, we need to get this front bumper off so we can start getting this other intercooler system on, and we can start getting the top of the motor back together since we have our intake manifold all taken apart and off here. So now let's get those last couple V-bands tight and move on to the next thing.
You ain't prayed till you're staring at the ceiling, trying to be a better man, trying to wrestle all your demons, staring at my own two hands, trying to build a better kingdom. Ain't no castles 2020, that ain't stopping me from scheming, ain't stopping me from reaching, won't stop me from believing that I'm here for a reason. As long as we keep breathing, that ain't stopping me from reaching, won't stop me from believing that I'm here for a reason. As long as we keep breathing, man, it's I won't fall, I won't drop until we on top. Only going non-stop, non-stop. I won't fold, I won't drop until we on top. Only going non-stop. There's no plan B with me. Do you believe in me? Ain't no plan B with me. Do you believe in me? It's non-stop. I won't fold, I won't drop until we on top. I'm only going non-stop.
now that we got that old Cobb front mount off of the car, you can now see here's our new ETS 5-inch intercooler versus the Cobb. And I believe there's a 3.5 or a 4-inch. I'd have to measure it. I think it's a 3.5. But you can see the difference in it. I mean, look at that difference, guys. Woo! This thing is going to have no issues with intake to air temps, especially for what we have planned for that bumper, guys. That's right. We are going to cut that out some more. I know you guys want to see how we cut the bumpers out, so I'm going to be showing you guys that. And he's requested that we cut this thing out more. So let's get that new ETS front mount up on the car. One quick thing before we get the scene up on the car, there is normally a bracket that goes right here for your outside temperature sensor. As you can see, I have that removed here. The nice thing about this part is there is a clip for this to clip into on the body, and then I just tie it right there to that mount, and now we are ready to put this intercooler on, because otherwise that will interfere with it. So make sure you do remove that. That's one thing with this install and video, is I'm trying to help everyone out as far as installing their ETS kit, whether it be rotate kit, front mount kit, because I do know ETS does not offer instructions due to liability, and I'm just trying to help them out because they helped me out. So just know that you do need to remove that bracket, and there's gonna be a couple other things I'm going to show you guys that we need to do, and hopefully this will help everyone that is installing this product on their car. So now that we have that bracket out of the way, I can actually get this intercooler on the car, and we can move to the next step of what we got to do. Bam, we got that 5-inch ETS intercooler on, and man does that thing look good. Look at how beefy that is, guys. That looks killer. We got that on. Now they do include a bag of spacers and everything you might need. Like I said, there is no instructions on this kit, so that's where this video is meant to help. So in this bag you have a shorter spacer here, as you can see, and that goes right there, right to the factory frame mount. So we bolt that in. That's a 13mm there. Then you use your factory 12mm hood one up top, and I don't know if you can see this. There we go. So that one goes up there, and then the same deal on the passenger side here. I'll have to say adjust. You can see we have the short spacer there and one of the 13mm bolts. So we have the intercooler all the way on. Now the next step is, and I know there's a lot of controversy on what to do after this, we need to take off these frame supports here. In 2018 they did add a frame support onto this side of the car, so we do need to take this off. Now a lot of people will end up cutting this off right here so it's flat with the car. I don't like to cut that, you know, whether it be whatever you might have plans later with the car. Some cars do end up going back to stock. I just go ahead, bend this tab to where it's completely a 90-degree angle right here. So I will show you guys that. To remove these, you're going to have two 14mm bolts in the front, you have two in the back, and that side is the easy one. The passenger side, or sorry, the driver's side being the harder one here, because we have our same two 14mm bolts, but then we have them behind this washer fluid tank. So we're gonna have to remove this, and that's okay because that's what's left in that bag that they give you there, is some spacers for this. It looks like this one already has some spacers on it, but we do need to take this thing off. To do that, you're gonna have one 10mm bolt here, another 10mm bolt there, which is usually a nut. So we're gonna have to take that out, and then there's gonna be one tucked way up in there. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's way up in there. We gotta get that out of the way, so that way we can move this thing to get this bar out and then mount this back up. So first off, I'm gonna start on the easy side. I will show you guys that. I'll go ahead and set you guys up, and then we're gonna move over to this side, which is the talked about to you guys, and I did go ahead and move this horn. You guys saw that. Normally it's straight down. Turned it up, gives us more room for the intercooler piping and gives us the room that we're gonna need. As you can see, we still plug in like normal, so that's all good to go. Now we're gonna start getting this intercooler pipe going. Starting out, this is going to be our intercooler pipe for the passenger side. It's going to go on just like this so everyone can see. And this car being a 5-inch intercooler, this is going to be a little bit different because it has 3-inch out and this is 2.5-inch piping. So you can see here from ETS we have our 3-inch to 2.5-inch adapter for these. So if you look at this and you're like, why does that look different than mine? That's why. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thrown on here. I'll show you guys what the end product here looks like of having that on, and then we gotta go to that freaking fun side. So let's get this taken care of. This loose here so that way I can get my intercooler pipe running from the turbo over to it and we can line it all up before we tighten that down. One trick you saw me do for some of these, you're gonna have to take off the actual nut and then open the clamp, put the pipe in, and then close the clamp and put the nut on because they're so tight from being new. So just know that will help you guys out a lot in the long run. Now it's time to deal with the side that sucks. So let's get that washer fluid tank dropped out of our way, get this piece out, get that bent in, and get our pipe on. We got the driver's side pipe all on. I did go ahead and leave the spacers that were from Cobb on this washer fluid tank, and they seem to fit perfect with this. I mean, you see how much room we have there. So to touch base on that, ETS does give you a bunch of different options here for, if I can get in the light, different spacers and adapters. So you need to put these larger spacers down here that come in this bag. And then you have your other adapter spacer that goes up there on that stud that I was talking about. That should be a nut. So that kind of touches base on this for you guys. I know no one does, and I'm sorry I didn't put these on, but this just made more sense. It was easier, and I went ahead and left his Cobb fill on there because this is a nice piece, guys, right here. So that's a nice piece to have. I just need to reconnect the hose back into its home there. Let me do it on camera for you. Boom. So that's back in there. If you guys are ever looking at this, to be honest with you, this is nicer than the factory unit. If Cobb sells this individually for the washer fluid tank, I would pick up one of these because this thing is freaking super nice. I know you can't see it. And my battery died. And checking back in with you guys. We are obviously in a different day now. We had a bunch of work we had to get knocked out, and I just had to get a bunch of work done on Stefan's car to get caught up. So I am jumping a bit ahead of here, but I am going to walk you guys through what I've done on the car and now what it looks like. So just take a look at how freaking good this thing looks. We did do that new bumper cut on the car. He requested that we cut it similar to what we had on the Series Gray, and I did make this one a little bit cleaner. Didn't go out as much on the sides of it. So this thing will adjust. You guys can see there. Man, that looks killer on here. So he's super excited about that. Obviously, we have our ETS Rotated Kit all the way installed on this thing now, and we did have to build a new bracket for the IAG AOS to sit right there. That's where I like to put those things once we do the Rotated Kit, and I think it looks a lot cleaner. One thing that would change in the future is you can see this hose, how it goes down and underneath the car. That would run this way and look much cleaner, and we'll end up putting a catch can over here for the future plans of this car. But for what it's doing right now, this will work, and having it dump out the bottom of the car. This is how it looks like when you do put your ETS Rotated Kit on. We have the pipe that comes from the turbo there to the 45 and down for the intercooler piping. You can see this is their intake setup. We do have another intake we're going to be putting on this car, so you guys will just have to see that one right before we give it back to Stefan and do a review on it. But for now, this is how the ETS assembly goes on here. Again, this is the 6466 with the 105 housing. You can take a look at just how close everything comes back there, but man, does it fit really good. Never had any issues putting this kit on, and everything fits the way it's supposed to. This car does have the stock intake manifold all back on it now, so that our intercooler piping fits the way it should. And obviously we have a tile 50mm blow-off valve right there. So this thing is all finished up. We are waiting on a base map from Steve, but obviously we can start the car now. It is a speed density car, and at idle nothing's really changed other than the fact that we have a different intake manifold on it, and obviously we have a different turbo on it, but that won't affect how it idles. So let's get a cold start for you guys. Woo! Now, not that much of a cold start. I did have to bleed the coolant system already on the car, but you can take a listen to this thing. That is a HKS RS Race, if you guys are interested in what exhaust is on this thing. I do know he has plans of changing that soon over to our Invidia Q300 that we like to use. But this thing is all finished up. It does need a bath very badly. Obviously we have dust on the car, and after cutting the bumper there's a bunch of specks of plastic on it, so I'm going to go ahead and give this thing a good bath. I do need to change over the wheels for him so that way he can be able to drive this thing back home. But in the end, we're finished up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry that we had to jump a bit ahead. If you have anything that you need, just leave it down in the comments, and thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.
Living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane.